Hunters of extraterrestrial life may want to listen particularly closely for signals originating at star systems within that narrow band of galactic sky. Advanced civilizations there may have already detected us using the transit method, they say, and may now be sending us a message. You might think of this paper, then, like a treasure map for intelligent life. Bioperturbation, the disturbance of soils by animals, is an important and often essential functional component of many ecosystems worldwide. It determines the spatio-temporal characteristics of soil patches and thereby contributes to the ecosystem's diversity and heterogeneity. The soil disturbances by animals affect both physical and chemical soil properties. These disturbances create vegetation-free areas, shape soil topography, alter soil density and structure, change infiltration properties and soil moisture, influence the nutrient situation, and contribute to carbon cycling and nutrient turnover. Rites of passage are one deep avenue to experience this love in our bones. Once realized, the care for the earth, the connection and experience of nature, and our part and place in the whole, will inform our future, our care for all of life. Without this care, and a true understanding of interdependence, our actions and lives may well be fragmented, divisive, and destructive. In meteorology, precipitation is any product of the condensation of atmospheric water vapor that falls under gravity. The main forms of precipitation include drizzle, rain, sleet, snow, graupel, and hail. Astronomers have recently discovered a large cloud of gas, in which many new stars are being formed, not far from our own solar system. While it would seem surprising that this phenomenon hadn't been previously noticed, the researchers explained that recent innovations in measuring the distance of gas clouds more accurately led to this discovery after older observations were reinterpreted. Writers may make the mistake of making all their sentences too compact. Some have made this accusation against the prose of Gibbon. An occasional loose sentence prevents the style from becoming too formal and allows the reader to relax slightly. Loose sentences are common in easy, unforced writing, but it is a fault when there are too many of them. Historically, the low level of political autonomy of the cities in China is partly a result of the early development of the state bureaucracy. The bureaucrats played a major role in the growth of urbanization, but were also able to control its subsequent development, and they never completely gave up this control. Fin whale songs contain signals that are reflected and refracted within the crust, including the sediment and the solid rock layers beneath. These signals, recorded on seismometers on the ocean bottom, can be used to determine the thickness of the layers as well as other information relevant to seismic research. Literature allows us to move beyond the inevitable boundaries of our own lives and culture because it introduces us to people different from ourselves, places remote from our neighborhoods, and times other than our own. Reading makes us more aware of life's possibilities as well as its subtleties and ambiguities. Foam-filled furniture is very dangerous if it catches fire, and foam quickly produces a high temperature, thick smoke and poisonous gases, including carbon monoxide. Therefore, set levels of fire resistance have been established for new and second-hand upholstered furniture and other similar products. Another virtue that both propagate is that the present is meant to be enjoyed to the fullest. It is no use fretting about the past, for it cannot be undone or overturned, and no use pondering too much about the future, for it remains unseen. The day being thought about may never dawn on you. The ultimate service, however, remains the one done for your fellow men. Birds have a variety of methods by which they are able to find their way across the flyways, year in and year out. It seems that birds employ different geopositioning strategies according to the conditions encountered during migration. They seem able to use the position of the sun and stars, the Earth's magnetic field, smells and even landmarks to find their way. One of the most mysterious and endangered fish in Europe is the European eel. Eels live very long and complex lives, and during their lifetime will travel thousands of miles, transforming themselves as they go. They can grow up to 1 meter long and have long and snake-like bodies with one pair of small fins at the sides. They are secretive creatures, and most of their early life at sea is a mystery. The rate of food allergies around the world is increasing. The rise in food allergies has affected Western countries most. Especially children are at risk. In some cases, allergies can lead to dangerous and even life-threatening situations. More and more families must change their diets in order to fight allergies. Everyone at some point can feel worried or anxious. homesick or isolated because they don't just fit in. This often happens when you change your location or when changes happen to you, and the truth is that this happens to lots of people, and it's a normal part of life. It's been recognized that around 1/3 of students will experience poor mental health during their studies. The ability to work in a team is one that is prized by employers and educationalists. It is often requested in job advertisements and displayed on CVs. When employers list their most important skills for promotion, 86% of people list team working skills. These days, the willingness and ability to work with a group of people towards a single target has become increasingly important. Medical experts point out that obesity cannot be treated with medication and exercise alone. It is also important to change your diet and consume less fatty food and sugary drinks. We also need to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables and reduce the intake of processed food. The conventional model of schooling emerged in Prussia in the 18th century. Alternatives have so far failed to teach as many children as efficiently. Classrooms, hierarchical year groups, standardized curriculums and fixed timetables are still the norm for most of the world's nearly 1.5 billion school children. Another method governments use to try and influence the private sector is economic planning. For a long time now, socialist and communist states have used planning as an alternative to the price mechanism, organizing production and distributing their resources according to social and strategic needs, rather than based on purely economic considerations. Since then, education technology has repeated the cycle of hype and flop, even as computers have reshaped almost every other part of life. One reason is the conservatism of teachers and their unions. But another is that the brain-stretching potential of edtech has remained unproven. The ritual of the state opening of Parliament still illustrates the basis of the British Constitution. The sovereignty of the royal family has passed to the sovereignty of Parliament, leaving the monarchy with the trappings of power, while prime ministers are still denied the kind of status that is given to American and French presidents. The semiconductor industry has been able to improve the performance of electronic systems for more than 4 decades by making ever smaller devices. However, this approach will soon encounter both scientific and technical limits, which is why the industry is exploring a number of alternative device technologies. Peer checking is a very useful and productive way of developing your reviewing skills. When you read your friend's work, you are assuming the role of the reader and the teacher. If your friend's work is well written, then it will be fluent and easy to read, and you will have no problems understanding the overall content. People run for many different reasons, namely, for fun, for exercise, to raise money for charities, and so on. Over the past decades, running has become an essential part of many health routines because of the publicity about its beneficial effects. It is claimed that it is good for our heart, it reduces stress, and it helps to prevent diseases like diabetes. Our widespread participation in social media in recent years has led to the emergence of what is termed social media influencers. These online entrepreneurs are people who have created a positive reputation amongst their followers for providing knowledge or expertise on a particular subject. Not all solar energy capture devices make electricity directly. For example, steam generated from solar energy can turn turbines, which then produce electricity. And, in what could be especially useful in remote regions, solar steam can desalinate water and be used in sanitation and equipment sterilization. There are many kinds of pond, but nearly all are small bodies of shallow, stagnant water in which plants with roots can grow. Water movement is slight and temperatures fluctuate widely. The wealth of plants ensures that during daylight hours oxygen is plentiful. However, at night, when photosynthesis no longer takes place, oxygen supplies can fall very low. A student exchange program complements formal education, while promoting tolerance, maturity and independence, all highly sought-after qualities in today's competitive job market. Living in the host country, not as a tourist or guest but as a member of the community, is what makes the experience both challenging and rewarding. The college has a fascinating museum dedicated to archaeology and anthropology. It contains information about many of the studies which have been carried out by members of the college over the 500 years of its existence. There are many unique exhibits brought back from excavations and explorations in all the continents. Writers may make the mistake of making all their sentences too compact. Some have made this accusation against the prose of Gibbon. An occasional loose sentence prevents the style from becoming too formal and allows the reader to relax slightly. Loose sentences are common in easy, unforced writing, but it is a fault when there are too many of them.
The main difference on this occasion was that the colonists were not just fighting against a king who was determined to use his own prerogative, they were also fighting against a parliament which believed that it and it alone should raise taxes and control revenues, rights which had been won in the previous century.
One of the biggest problems about buying a car is that you often have to borrow a lot of money so that you can pay for one. In most cases, new cars cost tens of thousands of dollars, a price that not everyone can afford. Salamanders are a group of amphibians typically characterized by a lizard-like appearance, with slender bodies, blunt snouts, short limbs projecting at right angles to the body, and the presence of a tail in both larvae and adults. With climate change, plants of the future will consume more water than in the present day, leading to less water available for people living in North America and Eurasia, according to a new study. The research suggests a drier future despite anticipated precipitation increases for places like the United States and Europe, populous regions already facing water stresses.